Good afternoon, everybody. It is 6 o'clock. It's Monday, so it is time for the world famous, critically acclaimed Academy show. Let's get into it. It is indeed 6 o'clock, my friends. For anyone new to the channel, what we do on a Monday, 6 o'clock, unlike any other West Ham YouTube channel out there, we do a show just dedicated to the Academy, talking about the 18s and 21s, any news that has happened, keeping an eye on the players, the under-21s who are currently out on loan, all that good stuff. And today we're going to do also a bit at the end. We're going to sort of flip it around a little bit. The news bit we're going to do at the end because we're going to make it into part of a bigger piece afterwards. It will make sense. So anyway, what we do is we look at the players who are currently out on loan. We talk about any of the games that have happened over the week for the 18s and 21s. Look ahead to maybe some of the games that are happening this week for the 18s and 21s. And we usually do the news at the beginning. We're going to do the news at the end. It'll make sense. If you're new around here, I would really appreciate a hype. Because it's the Academy. Let's hype the Academy. Because the Academy is really, at the moment, everything's doing fucking well at the moment. And I think we could probably do a few of them over the next few weeks. For sure. So let's crack into it. And let's talk about the players who are currently out on loan. We covered the guys who are currently out on loan for the first team in Hammer's headlines a little bit earlier on. Go and check that out. Let's start with Michael Forbes, our Northern Ireland under-21 captain. Having a great time currently with Kevin Nolan at Northampton Town. Cobblers, no, it is true. He played the full 90 minutes for Northampton Town as they beat Plymouth. Pie Faces Plymouth 3-0 away from home in League One. Let's talk about Gideon Kadoa, 64th minute substitute for Gideon, as Luton Town drew 1-1 at Hull with Bolton Wanderers. There was no place in the matchday squad at all for Julie Robinson, who got on last week when Livingston played Rangers at Ibrox. That was his first minutes for Livingston, but no involvement at all in their 1-0 loss at home against Aberdeen. No involvement at all for Regan Clayton for Braintree in the National League. However, he did feature for the under-20s, under-21s in our match against Truro City, which we're going to talk about in a bit. Obviously, Mason Terry still out with his broken hand. We're going to talk about the goalkeeper situations in a bit. That was it for our Academy players currently out on loan. In terms of under-21s, they had no game this weekend. However, they did play Truro, as I mentioned, in the National League Cup. That was Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. Every day blurs into one, to be honest, at the moment. And it was a comprehensive 3-0 victory against Truro in the National League Cup. Goals from George Earthy, Callum Marshall and Mohamedou Kante sealed a very impressive 3 points, but it's very impressive in the group stages for against Truro City. They play Aldershot Town in their last game in the group. However, they kick off another cup competition this week. They play Athletic Bilbao in the Premier League Invitational Cup, which kicks off on Wednesday at the Chigwell Construction Centre, Dagenham Redbridge is ground. Get your ass down there. It's going to be a great game. It's the start of a number of games against European opposition. We've got Anderlecht, we've got Dortmund B, we've got Sporting B as well. And obviously Athletic Bilbao, we play in the group, and in the group, you qualify, you get out, and you play the knockout stages and all that stuff. Previously, we've got to like the semi-finals. I think we got knocked out by PSV last year or the year before that as well. But it'll be a great game. It'll be a great game and a great atmosphere, and you can get to see some European football for once for the under-21s. Talking about the under-18s, they had a 1 win, 1 loss over the last few days. They won in the FA Cup Youth third round against Plymouth City. Had to go to penalties, being 1-1 at full time and after extra time, and 5-4 on penalties. They're through to the fourth round of the Youth Cup, which is fantastic. And then, unfortunately, they lost. They were defeated 2-1 at Little Heath on Saturday. Despite Joel Kerr's late goal from the bench. I've been saying keep an eye on Joel Kerr. I think he's going to be my next pick. just days after we won our FA Youth Cup penalty shootout over Preston North End, the return to league action against a Chelsea side who arrived without a loss in the Premier League South. The defeat marks the first loss for the Young Hammers since September. But they'll now look ahead to the next fixture, West Brom away on Saturday, as they look to bounce back before the festive break. Now, as I said, there is a bit of news involving the under-21s, and that is the appointment. Well, it's not official yet, but it will be soon. Of Jimmy Walker. He returns to the coaching setup at West Ham as the under-21 coach, and I can't think of a better man. He is a lovely guy and very dedicated, particularly when it comes to young keepers. So I said to Statman Ben, let's talk about Jimmy's boys. We've done player profiles about the likes of, 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏 and Ezra Mayers and people like that. Let's see what we've got coming. Let's see our crop of goalkeepers. And having spoken to Billy, he's determined to get one of these players to be playing first team football. And if he doesn't, he thinks he's failed as a coach. And I wonder and I won't say which one it is, but maybe you can guess as you go through it. So let's talk about Jimmy's boys, shall we? Let's talk about Jimmy's boys. So I'm going to cover 4 goalkeepers in terms of the guys that he's going to be taking on. They're going to start with Christian Heggie. Now, Christian Heggie is a guy that many of us will be aware of. He's been around the club for a while. He joined in 2019 from Haladas in Hungary. Renowned for his towering frame and leadership, he captained the under-21 side before gaining senior experience through a series of loans across Europe. His journeys included Stevenage, the Eredivisie at Den Bosch, Scottish Premiership with Motherwell, and the whole Hungarian top flight at 𝗏𝗏𝗀. By late 2025, he returned to West Ham and now serves as a senior presence in development squad while continuing to push for his first team opportunities. He's a big lad. He's almost 2 meters tall, covers the goal effectively, tries, tough to beat from angles and from range. He has a bit of a reputation as a penalty saving expert, quick reactions, agile. He's improved a lot of his footwork, particularly when he was on loan at Den Bosch, and former youth team captain, so a vocal organiser. In terms of areas for development, struggled to secure starting sort of roles, really. He is currently the under-21 starting goalkeeper, but particularly when out on loan, it was very much rotations or used as the cup keeper, particularly with likes at Motherwell. He's tall, but not particularly dominant on crosses. Sometimes passes, punches instead of claimings. And there's that sort of maybe the recovery speed because he is so much of a lump, really. So in terms of going to ground compared to other smaller keepers, he actually, incidentally, has his own videographer. So the last under-21 game at Rush Green, his videographer was basically taking pictures of him throughout the whole game. And apparently West Ham had to get special permission from the Premier League for him to be pitch side, literally next to the goal, taking pictures of Christian. I kid you not. Utter woke nonsense. In terms of tactical profile, he's got, Ben's given him 5 for penalty saving, 4 out of 5 for aerial reach and high claims. Elite reach, but decision making on where to come versus stay still need to be refined. 4 out of 5 on shot stopping and close range. Seen a lot of reflex double saves from him in crowded boxes, but not only tall but relatively agile. Leadership and communication, 4 out of 5 as well. Vocal, is aggressive, defensive organisations, and long distribution. Not an Ederson style short passer, but long flat kicks are a weapon. And bypasses press with power. Let's talk about the second one of Jimmy's boys, which is Finn Herrick. Highly rated by West Ham. And said now he went from the ranks of the West Ham Academy, where he joined since the age of 6, proper West Ham boy, steadily progressed through the youth ranks and become outstanding for both club and country. His reputation grew significantly in the 24-25 season when he won the Premier League 2 Golden Glove, recording 7 clean sheets, the most in the division. Currently out, he was currently on loan at Boreham Wood, and the club brought him back early. He's currently training with the first team, with question marks over basically Fabianski at the moment. In terms of strength, really quick reactions, very good in one-on-one situations with these sort of sprawling saves. He's not the tallest guy, but he's very confident with the ball at his feet, very confident. And what I like about him compared to maybe a typical goalkeeper is the out ball. So the out ball is usually a massive ball up to the centre forward. What Finn does, he drills it to the midfield. It's like Preston Fearon. The amount of times he's got the goal kick, and it's not from a swooping kick. It's a really hard ground pass, and it's so unusual to see that. He doesn't make errors very rarely. He's got a strong mindset, unbeaten in his first 9 senior league games for Boreham Wood. Proven ability, including a National League penalty stop as well. Weaknesses is below average height, but then so was Jimmy Walker. May struggle against taller strikers on crosses. We've had that slight issue at the moment with Mads Hermansson when he came in. Obviously not a lot of senior experience. He's only just been out on loan, so still adapting to physicality and game management. However, he's training with the first team, and sort of box dominance needs to evolve from shot stopping to organisers. He is a good shouter though. He is a good shouter. In terms of tactical profile, reflexes and reactions, 5 out of 5 from Statman Ben. We've got 50% clean sheet ratio in the National League. Consistency and error avoiding, 5 out of 5. Agility and speed recovery. This is his physical superpower, according to Ben, over taller rivals like Heggie. If he parries a shot, he's back on his feet almost instantly to deal with the rebound. 1v1 smothering, doesn't rely on his size, obviously, but he's very aggressive in closing those angles down, very quick off his mark. Distribution, very good. He rarely tries the 60-yard pings, as I said. He prefers to keep possession tinking over, and as I said, likes that quick through ball to the midfield for them Preston to sort of take it on and go. So that's number 2. Number 3, we have got Mason Terry. He's 6'5", big lad, complete antithesis to Finn Herrick. He actually began his footballing career as a winger before converting to goalkeeper at grassroots. Joined West Ham at the age of 9. Played a central role in the 2023 FA Cup youth winning side. Started all 3 matches and conceding just 6 goals. Unlike others where they've stayed in the under-21s, he's been out seeking experience in non-league. He was supporters player of the season at both Concord Rangers, despite them getting relegated, and AFC Hornchurch, where he recorded 17 clean sheets for them. He's currently on loan at Braintree, although he's currently out, as you know, with a broken hand. He's a big lad. He's 1.96 metres, 6'5". Ideally built for Premier League football, strong on the ball, particularly non-league settings, which are very physical. He's played a lot of non-league, which makes him physically tough and resilient. Over 50 appearances in terms by the age of 21, well adapted to men's football, particularly the hard knocks of National League football. Mentally tough. As a multiple Player of the Year awards, shows maturity and also appreciation from the fans. I said former winger, so he's he's very comfortable with the ball at his feet. Although distribution may be slightly more pragmatic than maybe Finn Herrick, for example, and that's one of his sort of distribution, one of his weaknesses, distribution under pressure. Transitioning from academy to non-league limits growth of the sort of advanced passing skills, that makes sense, and needs to adapt to faster play and sharper finishing at higher ends, and must refine parry placement to direct saves into safe areas. Parry placement. In terms of his tactical profile, we've given him 5 out of 5 for aerial commands. Big lad, likes to claim. Shot stopping, 4 out of 5. Very strong at making reaction saves in close range. Mentally resilient and consistency, 5 out of 5. One-on-one technique, tends to use more of where I think Finn's more like he's more aggressive. He because of his frame, Mason's more of a spreader, if that makes sense, to try and block the angles. And distribution, very pragmatic. In essence, it's the level he's playing at as well. He's playing at non-league, so naturally it's not so much about short passing, it's about the long out balls and stuff, but that will come. He's regular. He's very comfortable with the ball at his feet. Although I'd say if you're putting him, I think Finn's probably the best in terms of distribution across the bunch of goalkeepers we've got at the moment. And lastly, I want to talk about 𝗨𝗏𝗀𝗀, one of the younger lads, one of the outstanding prospects in the West Ham Academy, particularly the goalkeepers, rapid development. And he's a big lad as well, number 6'4", 6'5". He's ruined goalkeeping, slightly unconventional, bit similar to Mason in that he was an outfield player, was a centre forward actually, and then switched positions in secondary school because of his height, giving him a distinct perspective on the game. Signed his first pro deal after a breakout season for the under-18s in April this year. Been instrumental in when we won the Premier League Cup triumph for the under-18s, man of match performance in the final against Reading, and a decisive penalty save when we played Man United in the quarter-final shootout. Late 2025, he earned recognition international level, represented England and being named in the under-17 World Cup squad. As I said, he's a big lad. He's fills the goal naturally, limiting obviously targets for attackers. He's proven, big mate, game temperament. Under pressure, penalty saves and clutch stops in sort of the FA in the Premier League under-18 Cup final. He's got a very big reach. He's a big lad, and he claws out particularly sort of top corner efforts. That's like his speciality. And maybe that striking background has added to his sort of anticipation. And he's very calm as well. He's very calm. He is still very much a rough diamond at the moment, but I think there's a lot to come with 𝗨𝗏𝗀 as well. In terms of his techniques and tactics, 5 out of 5 for physical frame and reach. One-on-one duels, again, very similar to Mason, loves the spread technique. 5 out of 5 for that. Penalty saving, 4 out of 5. Proven track record in high-pressure shootouts. Agility, 4 out of 5. Excellent for his size, maintaining his agility as he fills out his frame. And, he's still developing physically. He's got to fill into his frame in his 20s, and that'd be key to his long-term ceiling in terms of where he can go. Distribution, he's got a very long kick on him, which can turn defence into attack very, very, very quickly. So that is Jimmy's boys. That's who Jimmy's going to be working on the next few. On top of that, we've got Tom Wooster as well. We've got Kieran as well, the Irish lad. So there's some really good players there, some really good goalkeepers. And the fact is, you've already got Finn playing first team training already. I think that's who maybe that's who Jimmy Walker's backing as well. But I think there is a big future for those goalkeepers. Anyway, that's it, my friends. Something a bit different. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks to Statman Ben. He did it on his birthday, he did those stats. God bless him. But that's what we wanted to bring to you, those stats. Don't forget to give it a like, share, comment. Don't forget to give it hype as well. Much appreciated. And we'll see you tomorrow. Take care on the flippity flop, my friends.